without further ado, let us welcome in the one and only Sijara Eubanks. Can't wait to talk to her about what transpired leading up to that weigh-in. And there she is, Sijara Eubanks in the house. How are you, Sijara?
Fantastic. How you doing, man?
It is a pleasure. Please have a seat. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Where do you live?
Right now, I'm living in New York City.
You do live in New York City.
Yeah, just moved after TUF.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where were you before?
I was living in Maryland for like 10 years.
Okay.
But I was originally born and raised in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Okay.
So all up and down the East Coast.
Why did you end up in New York?
Well, actually, after the show, I got with Mark Henry, Eddie Alvarez, a bunch of guys, and they're down in Jersey.
Yep.
And my partner is originally from New York, and she had an apartment. So.
Oh wow! So it all worked out.
Worked out just perfect.
It's amazing how that works. Like when you're on the show, and then you just get a coach, and then all of a sudden that like creates a new path for your career. Everything changes.
Man, it changed for the better, and it's been fantastic since I've been up here. I love the city too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like kid in a candy store.
Okay, so let's talk. Okay, first of all, how are you feeling right now?
Oh, much better. Yeah, I'm feeling good.
You're good.
Yeah.
Better than a couple of days ago.
Much better than a couple days ago. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so when did you start to feel like this could be a problem? Like your health could be a problem that you might not. Like when did it all kind of start?
Well, the cut, I got a little spoiled in the house. I was cutting from 150 in the house every like 10 days.
Right.
And so when I had hit about 45, 42 in training, I was like, okay, we're good to go. We're like 6 pounds ahead of schedule. And I honestly didn't think it was going wrong until about, probably about Wednesday night.
Okay.
I got to 133.
Okay.
And was like, okay, this is getting tougher than it normally has been. But I just was like, man, weight cutting's about being tough and being mental and getting through it. I know my body can do it. I've done it before.
Yeah.
So, I just reframed and I got to about 30 and a half and I knew something was different.
Okay. What were you feeling?
It was the pain in my back.
Okay.
And I know from cutting weight after all these years that once your back starts to hurt, you're in that dehydration phase. And I've never had that kind of pain that I was in. And then my ribs and my legs started cramping, and I couldn't really walk without my legs wobbling and feeling weak. And then I started getting delirious, and I was like,
wow.
I was like, oh man, this is, and it was tough because I had to decide if it was truly mental or if my body was really telling me something's wrong. Because it's one thing to be tough because it's hot and the sauna's hot and the sauna's miserable and the tub is hot. That's kind of, to me, you can tough that out.
Okay.
But I kind of just was not sure if I had reached that point where something might actually be wrong.
Wow.
And apparently I had.
You had people around you, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did they tell you we need to go to the hospital or something, or did you collapse? We've heard some story. What exactly happened that led you to go to the hospital?
Well, I had collapsed a little bit there.
Okay.
And I came to.
You pass out?
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
And my coach was with me, Jamal Patterson and Clint from UFC PI, and I was like, just drag me into the sauna because I couldn't make my way there. And they were like, no, if you're to the point where we have to physically drag you into the sauna, there's probably something.
Yeah.
Something wrong. And so Clint decided to call Dr. D from the UFC, and once he got on the phone, I kind of knew he wasn't gonna be too happy with the symptoms because I knew, and I kind of was like, nah, just drag me in there. It's, we got 5 more. Just don't tell nobody. Just drag me in.
Yeah.
And Dr. D was like, nah, I think she needs her vitals checked. And so they called the paramedics.
Wow.
And they checked my vitals, and my heart rate was just super high. And then it would plummet when I sat down. When I stood up, my heart rate would shoot back up again.
Wow.
And, if I was laying down, my blood pressure was good. But as soon as I sat up or stood up, my blood pressure would drop. So, then they were like, we gotta take you into the hospital, have you tested. And that's when I was like, yeah, I had my little breakdown. Because I figured once I got brought into the ER, that my night was over.
What time was this at?
I remember getting to the ER around like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, on Wednesday going into Thursday.
Yeah.
And you were resisting it? You were fighting it?
Yeah, I told them in the ambulance they tried to IV me, and I was like, don't give me any IV, because if I put any weight on, maybe I can still. I was like, somebody called Dana, somebody called Mick.
Oh man.
Get my manager on the phone. I was like, call Ali, let's see if we can do something at 130. But I knew if they put an IV in me, I would go up to 31. 30 and a half. And so they put a line in me in the ambulance and was like, let us give you some fluids. And I was like, no, because
oh my gosh.
Maybe I can do this, just stay where I'm at until 9. Because Dr. D was like, I'm not letting you cut no more. Like, that's it.
Okay.
So what I was trying to ask was, could I just stay where I was and see what we can do at 9 a.m. at weigh-ins? Give up percentage of my purse or whatever. But I got to the ER, they drew some blood and was like, no, you've got acute kidney failure and we have to get a bag in you.
Wow.
And, I kind of was like, can I sit like this? And he was like, if you sit as dehydrated as you are, it's going to get worse. And then, she started talking creatinine levels and I just kind of broke down.
Oh my gosh.
And as
you got emotional.
Yeah.
Because you knew the opportunity.
Yeah. I knew once they bagged me up, it was a wrap. So
have you ever felt anything close to this in terms of cutting weight? I mean, obviously, maybe not you never had kidney failure, right? Or have you?
Not that I know of.
Okay, yeah. Have you ever felt anything like this?
No, not that
It's
bad.
never been easy, right?
No. It wasn't easy in the house.
Right.
I've had other cuts before. I've been an athlete for 10 years. But that's kind of why I knew something was up, because I had never felt that before.
Okay.
There was lots of discomfort. There was lots of like there's a lot of, it's hot in there, you're hungry, you're thirsty, your lips are chapped. Cutting weight's never fun.
Right.
And I've always just been able to just duke it out. But some of the doctors at the hospital kind of explained the whole background, and they were like, you probably hurt yourself 6 weeks ago in the house, and that's probably some carryover.
Really? How so?
You know how doctors are.
Yeah.
Because I was like, it's not that bad. Give me a bag, get me out of here.
Yeah.
Of course, the doctor's like, you've got kidney failure. And I was
Right.
like, yeah, technically. But
Yeah.
they were just saying I had probably done so much cutting over the past couple of weeks that it probably didn't take much for my kidneys to be like, okay, something's wrong.
Wow.
Because I might have done some mild, stress to my body at some point, especially being that it wasn't that long ago. Because I was like, 6-8 weeks ago. And they were like, in terms of your body and your kidneys 6 to 8 weeks ago isn't that long ago. So, but the doctors I talked to at the hospital aren't as familiar with MMA and weight cutting as anybody else. I kind of was like, yeah, well, you guys are playing more on the safe side.
Okay. Do you feel like you did anything wrong? Like at the beginning of this camp, like could you have started lighter? Should you have not done this or that? Was there anything that you could have done to avoid this? Or was it inevitable maybe because of, all the stress you put on your body on the show?
Well, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Obviously in hindsight, it's always like, man, could have done this, would have done that, etc. The only thing I wish I had done differently, I wish I had gotten with Clint in the UFC PI earlier into camp.
Okay.
I didn't really start using the UFC PI as a tool until like the last 2 weeks. And Clint already was like, okay, well, we got another big cut ahead of us, so, and I was working with a nutritionist, but the only thing I wish I had done differently was work with the UFC and the UFC PI sooner, like right out of the house.
Okay.
Because I was talking to Clint too, he said I probably rebounded pretty bad from those couple of cuts too.
Okay.
So, just going forward, just gotta evaluate my body and really revamp my whole nutrition and training process, because I never really had a chance to walk around as a flyweight before. And so I think that just played the biggest factor in everything.
When were you officially ruled out of the fight?
I don't know exactly.
Okay.
But
you never even tried, you were never en route to the weigh-ins, right?
No, No. We went from the UFC PI straight to the ER, and
did you stay there overnight?
I got to the hospital at 2 or 3 a.m. on Thursday, and so they wanted me to stay overnight into Friday.
Okay.
But by Thursday night, I was like, test me again, get me out of here.
Okay.
I had 2.5 bags and was drinking a ton of coconut water, a ton of Powerade, just drinking lots of fluids, getting some food back in me once my body started acting normal again, using the restroom, etc. The doctor was like, I think you should stay till tomorrow. But I was like, can you just run my blood one more time and see if my kidneys are functioning? And he came back, he was like, I think you should stay, but I'll release you if you want to go.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, get me
You
out
left?
Here. Oh, yeah, I hate hospitals.
Yeah, they're depressing, right?
Yeah.
Nothing makes you more appreciative of life when you're in a hospital, even like for a good thing, like when you're there to visit someone.
Yeah.
You just want to get the hell out of there.
And then by then, everyone else was doing open weigh-ins, and Jamal Patterson was out there with me, but he had to go be with Deanna. So then I was in the hospital like by myself looking at TV.
Oh no!
Oh, get me out of here. I've never been admitted to a hospital before either, so that was my first time.
You never been in a what?
I've never been to a hospital before. I've never,
really?
Ever.
Ever?
Ever, except for, I guess, the day I was born, maybe.
Wow. You've led a good life.
Yeah. So I've never been in an ambulance. I've never been in a hospital. I was like, this is for the birds. Get me out of here.
Wow.
I want it out. As soon as I got back to normal, I was
that's a good motivation to never go through this again, right?
Absolutely.
Not to be back. What was it like? So you're out like 2, 3, 4, you're in the hospital, but then it took a while for the news to get out. Mm-hmm. So like it's quiet, and then I'm sure there's like a flood of reaction. What was that like once it kind of settled in that you weren't going to fight for the belt?
It's tough. It's heart-wrenching because, I've been working so hard for this, and to get that close off of something that, I have to take responsibility for. As a professional, it's my job to make the weight. I was sick, but I got sick trying to make the weight. So it was tough, man. It's tough. I ended up going to the fights that night and literally sitting cage side and watching the belt go by is for as heart-wrenching as it is, like it also makes me even hungrier to want to get it back. It makes me even more motivated. Like, I right away was like, Clint, man, let's what we're gonna do, talking to my coaches, talking to Clint, talking to everybody. So for as heart-wrenching as it was, this game has ups and downs, and you take some knocks. And I just happened to take a knock right before I was like arm's reach from my goals. And, I got to do what I got to do to get back. So it is what it is.
Why did you decide to go to the fights?
Because I felt like that was the professional thing to do.
Okay.
I had a teammate on the card, Deanna Bennett was fighting, had a bunch of friends from the house that were fighting. And I just felt like, after talking to my family and my coaches, and I just felt like it was the right thing to do.
Okay.
I'm a professional. I'm here. Y'all ain't getting rid of me. So
yeah.
Might as well sit down.
I thought maybe you would just go home. You wouldn't want to be around it, watch it, witness it.
No.
Be near it.
My goal is to be the champion.
Okay.
My goal is to fight in the UFC for the rest of my career. My goal is to be the best woman to ever step foot in that cage. And I felt like part of my process of moving forward and getting back to where I was is to sit down at the fights and hold my head up and move forward.
How was the UFC towards you once this became official? Did you speak to Dana White or McMahon, or how did they react to the news? Man,
Mick and Dana have been super awesome to me.
Okay.
I didn't get a chance to speak to Mick face to face, but I did speak to Dana. They were like, you still got a job with us, and they asked me sort of what happened and what went wrong. And, they've been nothing but great to me since then. They were great to me leading up to the fight, and they've been good to me since then. And the biggest concern was my health. They was like, we want you to be healthy, and that's the biggest concern for us as a company. And so, I apologize for missing the weight, because I do stick to, it's my responsibility as a professional to make the weight. And so I told them, I let you down for a main card, but I will be back. And that's what I told him. He said, hey, Kate, we just want you healthy, and we'll be happy to have you.
Are you going to be back as a flyweight?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Why?
Because it's my weight class.
You believe so?
I believe so. I believe this is my weight class. I will have to do some changes. I think, to be perfectly honest, I was a little spoiled in the house because I was able to cut so much weight.
Okay. What do you mean by spoiled?
I was able to cut 20 pounds at a time. And it was hard, but I was cutting it. Okay. And I thought I would be able to do that 1 or 2 more times before I had time to revamp my body. Okay. I've been doing martial arts for 10 years. In jiu-jitsu, I fought at 163. In MMA, I've been fighting at 135. I've been walking around at 50, 55 for the last 4 or 5 years. So it takes time to reframe your body. I'm probably gonna have to cut back on a little muscle mass and do what I have to do to walk at 145. But I have a lot of professionals in my corner that look at my stature and my body and say that, yes, you do have the frame to walk in the low 40s in a healthy way. Okay. And you can cut to 125 in a healthy way. We just have to get you to that walk around weight. And the cut from there is gonna be just like everyone else's cut. It's not gonna be as dramatic as it's been. So if my body can physically walk at flyweight without doing damage to my health, then I'm a flyweight. I'm not gonna get chased out of the division because I made some miscalculations in this last cut.
Do you feel like you're smaller? You're too small to be a bantamweight? Do you feel like you're at an advantage as a flyweight because you may be bigger?
Yeah, I don't think everyone says I'm bigger as a flyweight, but if you look at my reach and my height, I'm actually smaller than most other flyweights.
Wow, how tall are you?
I'm 5'4".
Okay, and what's your reach?
Like 67, 68. Most of the girls I fought at, when I was fighting at bantamweight, these girls were cutting from like 55 and 60. They're 5'8", 5'9". Their stature is just bigger. Yeah. I believe I can fight at bantamweight. because I think I have the size to do it, but I don't have the height and the reach. And I think I'm more structurally successful at flyweight.
Okay.
So I just think it's just a matter of getting my walk around down. So yeah, I'm a flyweight for sure.
Prior to The Ultimate Fighter, how many times had you cut to 125 or 126?
Once. In 2013 or 14.
Were you nervous going into the house?
No.
No, why?
Because I just knew it was my time.
Okay.
You know, I had cut to flyweight in like 2014, and it was a rough cut, but at the time there's only 115 to 135 in the UFC. So I kind of decided I should probably bulk up to bantamweight to get into the UFC. Because there wasn't a 25 at the time.
Right.
And when they announced The Ultimate Fighter, I was like, boom, I'm in there, absolutely. And I had already bought my plane ticket when they said, this is gonna be for flyweight and for the inaugural belt.
Okay.
And I wasn't nervous because I knew this was my time. I knew I was gonna do well in the house. I knew the wake up was gonna be rough because I had been walking around as a bantamweight, but I knew that, you know, I've had IDEXA scans. I knew my body could do it. And so, I just couldn't pass up an opportunity. I couldn't not try out because it was 10 pounds.
Okay.
I just couldn't not try to get my foot in the door and try to let the world know who I am. And I did exactly that. I knew I was gonna have a hard time in the house, but I knew I was gonna do well.
You even had to cut your hair.
I had to cut my hair.
Damn.
But now my hair's cool now.
Yeah, it is super cool.
I've got like a Manish bun thing happening.
Cool. Yeah,
I can put designs on the side.
Yeah, it's awesome. But that, I mean, it takes a long time to get hair like that.
It does.
Did it break your heart?
No.
No?
Yeah. My goal is to be the champ, man.
You don't
This
care about
hair,
the hair.
it'll grow back. Yeah.
All right.
As long as I'm not a full baldy, that was the one thing.
Okay,
You gotta leave some on the top.
How did you decipher like how much I should cut? You know, without going too far, right?
I've been
unnecessary.
Because I've been growing dreads for a long time, and I know they can be heavy, especially once they get long.
Yeah.
I used to, I'd jump in the pool and your head's
Right. Yeah.
So I had already, the sides were already gone, but the length was about shoulder length, and I still had the whole back.
Okay.
And so I was kind of feeling around. I actually give a little shout out to Ariel Beck in the house.
Okay.
I was sitting there and I was like a half pound off, and Ariel's like, didn't you tell me your hair is like a whole pound on its own? I was like, oh, you're right.
Yeah.
And so we just, I just kind of felt around, just kind of know my hair. And I was like, I bet you if we just take the whole back off and then about 3 or 4 inches, I bet you that'll get us there. And we got to the snipping. Got
Unbelievable.
A half pound off, yeah.
So looking back on the experience, I mean, it doesn't necessarily end well. I know this is the beginning of your journey, but just being on the reality show, it's all done. It's out there in the world. Are you happy with it?
Absolutely.
You were happy with the experience?
Absolutely. Oh, I loved it.
You did?
I loved the house, yeah.
What did you love about it?
Man.
It feels like a nightmare to me.
How
many weeks? 6?
6 weeks, yeah.
Jeez Louise, no contact with the outside world.
None whatsoever.
You recently had a kid.
Yeah.
How were you away from your kid for 6 weeks?
It's incredible.
You couldn't talk?
Couldn't talk to my kid.
No FaceTime, no nothing?
No FaceTime, no nothing.
Jeez. Did it
I came
hurt your
back
heart?
to a whole new kid, yeah.
Yeah.
She was like...
How old was she when you left?
6 weeks.
6 weeks?
Yeah, so she was a little tiny
Oh
little...
my
She was just
gosh.
kind of laying there, just kind of looking around.
Yeah.
I got back, she's like trying to sit up. She's like rolling over. She's like pulling bubbles. She had developed so much.
That didn't hurt you? That wasn't hard?
It does. It's hard, It's hard to be away from your kid. It's hard to be away from the people that you love. But I set my daughter up for the whole rest of her life by getting this opportunity. No one would know who I am right now if I didn't do that house.
Mm-hmm.
I got to fight Roxanne Modafferi for Fight of the Season. I got to fight Deanna Bennett in a good fight, Maia Stevenson. I got to be on TV every week on FS1. And I feel like I've set myself up for a career.
It was worth it?
Yeah, worth every
Was there any point where you thought, I'm breaking here, I might not make it?
No.
Never?
No, I mean, it's tough. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
It's tough. You're in a house full of 15 other chicks you don't know.
Yeah.
And you're away from your family, and it's tough. You want to know what's going on, but if you stay focused on what the end goal is, like at the end of it, one of us is going to be the first ever UFC Women's Flyweight Champion.
Yeah.
If that don't motivate you, you don't have to drive anywhere. You don't have to buy no food. You don't have to really concern yourself with what's going on at home because you don't know.
Sure.
So what's the point of fretting? I could be like, oh my God, how's my kid doing? Is she rolling over? Oh my God.
Yeah.
One of the things I did in the house is, you're allowed to bring a photo.
Okay.
And put it up in your room
Thank
or
God.
whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't bring a photo.
You didn't even do it?
No.
Why?
Because why should I sit up at night wondering like, oh man, what is my kid doing? What is my girl doing? What is my dad doing? What is everybody doing? That to me, that just created anxiety. I just treated it as, a martial artist on a journey. I have a mission to complete. I have to fight 3 times in this house. I have to lose a hell ton of weight doing it. And I'm not gonna get out on the other side until I get through this house and through this tournament. And I was laser beam focused. I mean, I went to every practice. giving it my all. I tried to learn as much as I could from the coaching. I tried to get we got to live in a mansion, so I got a robe from home and treated it like it was my house. I would go strolling around the backyard like, this is my house. You guys just live here.
What was the worst part about being there?
The worst part is it gets boring.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, it
You
does
can only
get
have a
boring.
Bible, right?
Yeah, you can have a Bible or any other religious book.
Is it weird that they just like they exclude everything but the Bible? Like, what if you're not
you can get
religious?
a Torah or a Quran.
Yeah, I know, but like, why does it have to be religious? Why can't it just be your favorite book?
I don't know, but I wish I could have brought at least just one book.
One
to the
book.
house. They didn't really play it, but Eddie managed to get us all. He bought us all a book called The Power of Now.
Okay.
And so after a lot of hemming and hawing, we all managed to get this one copy of this one book.
Really?
Yeah.
Just one copy?
Yeah.
For all of you? Or
No,
you each got your
we
own?
each got our own. We each
Okay.
got our own.
They let you have it?
Yeah.
Oh, really? How'd you do that?
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
Hopefully they're not going to yell at me for
Yeah, it's
spoiling
over
that.
now.
But
Why that book? What was so? It's like a motivational book.
yeah, it's a motivational book, and
Okay.
Eddie and Mark Henry talked a lot about how he read that book and how that really helped him through a lot of his fights and a lot of his mental preparation, and how this game is so mental, and how this book can really help you out through this experience. And I don't know if anybody else read it, but I read it.
You read it?
Yeah.
Whole thing.
Yeah, whole thing.
What a gift that must have been, right?
Oh my
Something
God,
to
I
do.
just want something to read.
Yeah.
Thank
At
God.
what point did you realize, I want to be with these guys? When this show's over, I want to go with Mark. And
Very
Eddie.
early.
You knew.
Very early on, yeah.
Did you know them beforehand?
No.
Okay, first time you met them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I was with Team Lloyd Irvin for most of my career, and
Yeah.
I had left Team Lloyd Irvin in January. So for a couple of months, I kind of was just like a little nomad.
Okay, why'd you leave?
Just because I wanted something fresher. I wanted to
Okay.
get out of Maryland. I wanted better training partners, and I just wanted to sort of revamp my career.
Okay.
And sometimes you gotta shake things up.
Yep.
To find a new start. And like I said, it worked out perfectly. I was a nomad and I went to TUF, and before I even knew who the coaches were, I just had the faith in God and the universe that I would find my way. I was
Wow.
like, once I go into this house, I'm gonna find my next path.
Wow.
I just trusted it. I just trusted that I don't know who's gonna pick me. I don't know we didn't even know who the coaches were until
Sure.
we were in Vegas for like 4 days already.
Wow.
And I just was like, all right. And then once they said it was Justin or Eddie, I was like, well, one of these two guys is gonna lead me to the next step.
Wow.
Eddie picked me, and it was funny, I didn't quite put it together. I saw Mark Henry, I was like, man, I know Mark Henry. And I was like, what isn't clicking all the way? And I was like, oh, he coached Caitlin Chukagian, who I fought
That's right.
in my first
Yep.
ever
CFFC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I met Mark, who is a genius. I love
Yep.
Mark Henry.
Yep.
Me and him clicked right away. I met
One of the
Jamal
nicest people I've
Patterson.
ever met, right?
Nicest guy,
Yep.
man. And I kind of told him, I was like, once we had a chance to really talk with just the coaches, I was like, I don't have a home, and I knew that I would find my new home through this path of the Ultimate Fighter. And sort of, you couldn't really say much in the house, but we kind of was like, eh?
Okay.
I was like, my girlfriend lives in New York, eh?
Perfect. You could have ended up in Colorado
Yeah,
with Justin Gaethje.
yeah.
But
most certainly.
this is perfect because
Perfect, now I'm home. Yeah.
You were 2-2, or you? I mean, I guess officially you are 2-2 still,
still,
right?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
You got into the house. What did they rank you?
12.
12. Did you think that was just?
No,
No.
not at all.
Did that piss you off?
Piss me off is a little strong, but
Okay.
it definitely was like, okay, well, I'm gonna let you guys know that was terribly wrong.
Okay.
A little extra.
Why do you think they ranked you that? Not as much experience.
I chalked it up to experience. I kind of thought maybe not as much experience, but I looked at some of the other records in the house, and a
Yeah.
lot of the girls had similar records to me. So I know I'm a relative unknown, but I felt like my jiu-jitsu background would have carried me a little bit.
Okay.
But I guess in MMA, people don't know as much about my jiu-jitsu background, because my jiu-jitsu got compared to a lot of other girls in the house, and no offense to any of them, but I don't think their jiu-jitsu is anywhere near the record I have. So I thought my jiu-jitsu would carry me up, and the two losses I took were to current UFC fighters. You got Caitlin, who's I think was top 15 at the time that the trials were released, and then Aspen Ladd, who had just gotten signed to the UFC as well. So I thought that those were close fights. They were decisions, and I thought that would not hurt as much. Because you just look at 2-2, and I'm 2-2 to whoever.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right, well, she's 2-2.
Right.
I thought I had good fights with experienced fighters. So.
You said you've been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah.
What were you doing before? Were you focusing
Jiu-jitsu.
solely on jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
How are you making money?
Wasn't
Everything, right?
Yeah, just doing a bunch
Everything
of jobs.
outside of martial arts.
Yeah,
Okay.
everything. Yeah, Uber,
Bouncing,
Uber.
What were all the jobs?
I sold cars for a little while.
Oh, wow.
I did all kinds of different security jobs. I worked security, like loss prevention at Macy's. I delivered pizzas for a little while. I would work just doing like marketing and writing ads and doing stuff for other martial arts schools, and because I can write a decent ad, so I would do a lot of articles and web content, emails. I dipped into click marketing. Like I did whatever I could. Worst one? Bouncing.
Bouncing.
Yeah, that was terrible.
It's worse bouncing. I heard you say it's worse bouncing for men than it is for women, right?
Yeah, because all the other guys I knew that bounced were getting to like, these guys are drunk. You gotta fight them.
They're trying to fight you?
No, guys never mess with me. Okay. I got lucky. I didn't bounce for long.
Okay.
I was like, this is, first of all, for the most part, it's boring. You got to stand up until 3 o'clock in the morning. Jesus. Yeah. Stand in one spot.
Outside.
Awake. Yeah. God, no.
But for women, you just take their purse, right?
Yeah, everyone laughed at me at my school. Yeah.
That's it? The key? Like if someone's acting up, just take their purse and they're done?
For the 2 times I did it, I just grabbed their purse. Yeah, I had a buddy who was kind of showing me the ropes. He was like, because as a guy, he's like, I can't put hands on the women. I just grab their purse.
That's right.
And then I can't do nothing about it. So as a female, I was allowed to grab whoever I want to. I just never... just make a couple of bucks here, get through the night.
So what was the goal? So you're doing jiu-jitsu. Were you doing jiu-jitsu to get to MMA?
Yes.
Or did you feel like, so you didn't feel like jiu-jitsu was going to be the means to the end?
No. There's not enough money in jiu-jitsu.
Right.
I wouldn't have, if it was, and I don't do this for the money, but you do at some point kind of get tired of living like, yeah. And I could have gone, my mom teases me, I could have gone home at any point and asked for money and lived in her basement for sure, but I wanted to make it on my own as an adult, and it's jiu-jitsu, just the few people who do make enough money to make a living, it's such a small fraction.
Right.
And you have to really develop, a lot of them have their own gyms, and they start to get to that upper echelon of having multiple black belt world titles, and they start to get seminars and sponsorships and things like that. But I never got sponsorships in jiu-jitsu.
You couldn't? You tried?
I tried. Okay. Yeah, no one really offered money. I always was. People offered me free crap all the time.
Yeah,
I was like,
really
I got 50 million gis. I can't eat a gi.
Right. Who introduced you to jiu-jitsu? Was that your first martial art? Mm-hmm. That was your introduction to martial arts, jiu-jitsu?
Not technically. Okay. I did karate when I was a kid.
Okay.
but
as an adult?
As an adult, yeah.
Who introduced you to it?
I did.
You just did it?
Yeah, I was sitting around. I had a desk job. I also did a lot of desk work over my couple of years.
Nice.
And it was funny, I just stumbled across like best knockouts on YouTube, and I used to watch like Tank Abbott, and then that led into like UFC links, and then I realized you could watch it on TV, so I used to watch UFC Unleashed. I would come home and I was just so intrigued. It's like, what is this? People fight for a living. It's crazy. And I think it was... I want to say probably Nate Diaz versus Diego Sanchez, maybe?
Yeah.
And I remember watching them just roll around on the ground and was like, man, like, what are they doing? Like, and I remember just Joe being like, what an incredible display of jiu-jitsu. And I was like, man, I wonder what that is. Huh. And so I was super bored. I hated my job and was like, well, if I'm going to go to work every day, I might as well do something afterwards. And plus, I was kind of a fat kid. I was like 200 pounds. And I was like, let's lose some weight and do something fun. And I Googled jiu-jitsu, and I first found like a little like karate school first, and then a guy there was like, I got a club down in DC, and so it was literally just a bunch of guys like rolling around on like these wrestling mats after work.
Yeah.
And one of the guys there was like, you should check out either another split in my life. He was like, you should either go out to Lloyd Irvin's out in Camp Springs, or you should go down to Virginia and check out De La Riva. Okay. But you're pretty good. You should find a real gym. Like we're just fucking around.
Right.
And so I ended up going to Lloyd Irvin's because that was the only place I could take the subway to.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't get to Virginia. I didn't have a car at the time.
And at what point do you say, this is going to actually be like something I'm going to pursue? This is going to be a dream, a goal? How do you go from the person who's trying to lose weight to this?
Well, I did my first tournament like 2 weeks in.
Oh, wow.
And so that was...
How did it go?
I think I won. I got like one of those participation medals.
Okay.
I won my first match. I just like, poor girl was like 50 something pounds,
Oh,
so
man.
big still. Just like roughed her up, won my first match. And I just remember the adrenaline was so crazy after my first ever jiu-jitsu match. I went in the bathroom and barfed everywhere. It was like, that was incredible.
Wow.
Like I went home and was like, man. And then my second match, I got choked, which I thought was super cool.
Yeah.
I was like, some chick choked me. I choked another chick. Oh my God, that was amazing. And so I started training as often as I could after work. And so my job, actually, I was a temp. And so every year my contract came up. And so
Okay.
the year came up and it was like, do you want to renew your contract? And they kind of like, ever since, I had kind of been slacking at work because I would come in late or go out early to go do jujitsu.
Okay.
I was a jujitsu bum, and they kind of were like, you're not doing what you're supposed to do here, and you're going to have to really get serious if you're going to keep this job. And I was like, screw you guys. And I went over to Lloyd's. I was like, I don't have a job now. I'm on unemployment. And he was like, all right, well, let's start training all day.
Wow.
And once I started training full time, I realized how good I could be if I really put some effort forward. And so I just never started, I never went back to that job and moved into one of the little fighter houses. And
So you were making no money at this point?
no, I was living off of unemployment for like 4 months,
Wow.
4 or 5 months. And then I started working for Lloyd, was my first job after that.
Okay, at the school. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, just doing whatever.
And then you decided to go pro?
I didn't make my pro and May debut until, 2013, I think, for Invicta.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do amateur early. My first amateur fight was a WKA, MMA, which kind of just fell off the book somewhere. It just disappeared. I don't know
Okay.
where that fight is.
Yeah. Oh,
that
you
was
can't find it?
No, I can't find it. It's not on
Okay.
any of my records. It's not like anywhere online. I keep looking for the video. It's not in any of the WKA records. It was like this.
Did you win it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I won rear naked choke and I think they were like 2-minute rounds. It was like a WKA MMA fight. That was 2010. And when I was at Lloyd's, Lloyd kind of said, I was like, I want to fight. And he was like, if you're gonna be serious about being an MMA fighter, you got to have some core. You got to have a base. All of the best, all of the champs have a core. Either they're strikers or they're wrestlers or they're jiu-jitsu guys, but you got to have a core. And, we're a jiu-jitsu school. I think you're good at jiu-jitsu. And so he designed my whole jiu-jitsu game from the beginning to be top heavy, takedowns, passing, because that translates into MMA so much better. And so the whole jiu-jitsu career, I was still doing things like boxing and wrestling and judo. I was still doing other martial arts, but it was laser beam focused on jiu-jitsu so I could develop that core, and it's definitely helped me a lot.
It's funny that you say around 2013 or so, because that's when, Ronda Rousey debuts and all that. So that's when I feel like the dream becomes more of a reality,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
Like you can actually, they don't have your weight class. Well, I guess your weight class at the time was maybe 135.
It was the only reasonable one.
Yeah, you had to settle on that.
Yeah.
But that, I feel like for a lot of women, that's when okay, now I can actually try to do this seriously, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember watching that fight?
Yeah, for sure.
The Ronda Liz Carmouche fight?
yeah.
Where
And
were
then-
you when you watched it?
Oh man, where was I? I was probably at a Hooters somewhere.
Okay.
For
That's where you go.
Buffalo Wild Wings,
All
yeah.
right, yeah.
One of those two. It was funny, before that fight though, I had goals of being the best because I thought it was gonna be Strikeforce at the time.
Yep.
And so I was like, okay, I'll be Strikeforce. And before that, I was like, I'll be Bodog. Like
Right,
whoever
yeah.
was
That's right.
whoever was the best at the time. But I remember that pro debut, and I remember Liz Carmouche taking her back and
Yeah.
being like, Liz, sorry, no offense to Liz, but I was like, that's not how you finish a rear naked choke. I remember being like, it's over the face, she's
Yeah.
gonna get out.
Yeah.
But it was thrilling, it was exciting. And it was just, there's been a lot of fights I've sat down at a Hooters or at home and watched and been like, wow, it's just so amazing that this is real. And women can be not only champions in the UFC, but we can get the same respect and the same pay and the same love as the guys. And it's amazing to be where we are now, and it's great. And it kind of does. It makes you be like, all right, so I'm definitely fighting for something here.
Yeah, and they put out the salaries. It was 100 and 100 for the title fight, right? That I feel like that's one of the best ever.
Oh, yeah.
Like Tim Elliott, I don't know if you saw Tim Elliott. He was all upset about it, saying like, oh, I only got 50 to fight DJ when he fought for the belts last year. I don't recall a finale. I could be wrong. That was for 100 and 100. And then plus I think she won Fight of the Night too.
Yeah, so another, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, it was nice.
Does that sting?
That probably, it hurts the most.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, yeah, the money stinks, but it is what it is.
And then so you win the show, then what kind of contract did you get? Like what was at stake there?
I'm not sure. My manager knows all of that, but I know I'm probably on a different contract now.
It's a different one now.
Yeah.
You're on the just the cast member contract.
Well, they sent it over, but I haven't really.
Okay.
I sent it over. My manager does all that.
But you are sticking around.
Oh yeah, you guys can't get rid of me that easily. No.
Were you surprised Nico made it to the finals?
No.
She was 14, right? Mm-hmm. Wow.
When she beat Lauren in the house, I kind of was like, okay, tough fight, and I kind of felt like Lauren more folded than Nico, and Nico took advantage of that and kind of duked that fight out. Then when she fought Montana, I felt like they were evenly matched despite the rankings, so I kind of was like, oh, that's probably a toss-up there. And Nico really duked out another tough fight. But when she fought Barb, that's when I really was like, yeah. Because when I saw the matchup, I felt Barb was going to be able to figure her out and outstrike her. And when Barb kept going into the clinch, it kind of really opened up my eyes to Nico's game. Mm-hmm. And I think she really likes that clinch. I think she likes to turn these fights into grinds, and she's gonna go out on her shield. So I think if you turn it into a nasty fight with Nico, she can pull things out. And so, I kind of remember being like halfway through the Barb fight, like, I think Barb's losing this fight. And being on the other side, I was like, oh, let me pay attention. And so I think Nico, similar to me, was probably a little overlooked as far as her rankings. But I think the difference between me and Nico was, even though I was ranked 12, most of the girls in the house didn't overlook me as 12.
Yeah.
But I think Nico as 14 was overlooked probably fight after fight.
Do you think she won that fight against Roxanne?
Yeah, I think so.
Were you impressed with her performance?
Yeah, it was good.
Okay.
And she fought how I expected her to fight me too.
Okay.
I think she did what she does. She's a lefty. She's got a little funky striking, but she likes to keep it grimy. I think she likes to get in that clinch. She likes to throw knees. She likes to press against the cage. I was surprised at Roxanne being able to take her down, I think once or twice kind of easily, I thought. But it was a back and forth battle, and I thought it was impressive.
What do you say to, the consensus, it seemed like on Friday night after the fight was like, okay, she's the champ, but just wait until she fights Valentina. Just wait until she fights a Joanna if she moves down, or even a Jessica Ai. It doesn't feel like she's getting a lot of respect as a UFC champion. How do you feel about that?
I knew she wouldn't. That's just kind of the stature of the game. This whole time I've been envisioning myself as UFC champ, and I kind of might have looked ahead a little bit because I was like, man, as soon as I get the belt, everyone's going to be like, right. Yeah. I knew whoever came out the house was going to get overlooked. Okay. Because as in the MMA society, it's kind of like you get three fights in a house full of other chicks who aren't in the UFC, and you get a belt after 4 fights. Like, I knew other fighters and media and fans would sort of gripe and moan about it, and that whoever came out, which I thought was going to be me, but now it's Nico, is going to have a giant target on her back, and they're going to gun for her. That's just sort of the nature of the game.
How do you think she does against the Valentina?
Valentina's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because of the striking. I think Nico has a gap in her striking. I was really very much looking forward to Nico because I've been working on my striking a lot this camp.
You do some training at Gleason's too, right? Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, I've sparred at Gleason's quite a bit.
Wow.
I think the gap between Valentina's striking and Nico's striking is probably a little challenging. Okay. Yeah.
Now for you, what's the path? Like, do you suspect that you'll have to fight several times before getting back into a title fight?
I'm sure I have to fight again. Okay. How many times, I'm not sure. I think that depends on my performance, and that depends on how well I am, but I know I'm going to have to prove that I can make the weight in a safe way. So that's the first things first. My first priority is to get my walk around down as soon as possible, as healthily as possible, and prove to the UFC and to all the guys that I can make the weight and I can be successful. I think I'm one of the most dangerous flyweights in the world. Just got to get there without...
You probably have to give your body a break now, right? Like, realistically, when could you come back safe and healthy?
I'm not sure. I actually meet with Clint from UCPI on FaceTime a little later today. Okay. And I think, and what me and him talked about before I left Vegas, is I'm probably going to have to get IDEXA scanned again. Mm-hmm. The last time I had an IDEXA scan was like 4 years ago, the first time I tried to make flyweight. And
for those that don't know, DEXA scan?
Yeah.
What is it?
So a DEXA scan, you lay on this table and it looks like they're like photocopying you. Okay. And it tells you your exact muscle mass, your exact body fat, and your exact bone density. Okay. And, as a professional, you can look at it and say like, okay, so the last time I had an IDEXIS scan was 2014. I had 120.1 pounds of pure muscle. And then it tells you your percentage of body fat, how much your body fat should be for your age, height, and weight, et cetera. And gives you all this fancy data as far as how your body's constructed. So like, for example, you know, if I got a lot of body fat, you can lose body fat and then lean out. Or if there's enough muscle, then you know you have to kind of slim down on your muscle mass. Or like my bone density when I had it was super heavy, so I can't get rid of that in any way, shape, or form. So I probably need to be reevaluated and figure out where we can chip away at my body and keep it healthy.
What's the dream scenario for you, opponent-wise? Do you have someone in mind?
No.
For the return?
No, I would like a tough opponent though.
Okay.
So dream scenario, get my walk around down as soon as possible and get back in the cage as soon as possible at my weight, at flyweight. And I would like a fight that's gonna keep me in the heat for the title.
Right.
I think even though technically I'm still 2-2, I had really good performances in the house. Like if you look, I think I beat Roxanne pretty handily. And she had a nice tight fight with Nico.
Yeah.
So in a perfect scenario, I want to fight whoever's going to keep me in the heat, whether it's someone from the house or someone from outside of the house. But I want to stay in that heat. I want to stay close because I'm going to get that strap.
What's Parenthood like?
Man, it's exhausting.
You came back to a 6-month-old.
Yeah.
And you're like thrown right into the fire.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It actually was kind of strange because I felt like she recognized me when I got back.
Oh,
I really
really?
do. I
Interesting.
really do feel like she was kind of like, the first day I walked in the door from the house, she kind of was like, I know you.
Wow.
She gave me a smile, but she still, because she spent all that critical time with her other mother, my partner, she's super close to my partner.
Okay.
So there's still times when I have her and
that
she's
hard?
just like, she's like, no, I want my other mom. Like,
Okay.
video. But it's fun. I kind of take, it's kind of strange, but I take more of a dad approach. Like I can do the fun stuff. We go on walks. You know, I go to swimming classes with her. You know, I can feed her. But when she hits that middle of the night, nothing but some breast milk is gonna help me. I'm like, yo, bro, I'm out of ideas.
You change diapers?
I changed diapers.
do all that?
Yeah. I had my first, you know, parents always talk about that first time they go everywhere.
Yeah.
Poop. Yeah,
You
I had one
that?
of those, yeah.
Okay, nice.
When I got back from the house, like all up to the back of her neck, like,
Oh, yeah, it's the worst. It somehow goes up.
It goes up. It's so confusing.
It's a weird thing.
I don't know what it is. I had to go, you know, you got poop on your hands. It's weird.
Has that changed the way you approach your career now that you're a mom? Now that you have, you know, someone that is depending on you?
Yeah, it does, because for so many years I was content just kind of like, you know, hanging out and being broke and making it.
Being somewhat selfish, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you don't have to worry about yourself.
Yeah. Honestly, you know, to be honest, when I was hurting for that cut, it was my daughter that made me say something out loud like, yo, I think something might be wrong.
Wow.
Yeah. Because the whole time I'm like, think about my kid, you know, there's a lot of money on the line, it's a big opportunity, it's a championship fight. And when it came really down to the wire, I didn't want to be one of those, you know, headlines that, you know, kid dies in sauna trying to cover.
Oh, yeah.
And it did. And I was like, you know, someone, I can't even remember now. Someone's like, yo, you got, you know, think about your kid. And it was designed to be like, oh, let's get this weight off. But I got like 6 more pounds thinking about my kid. And it got to the point where I was like, you know, something's wrong. And I thought about her, like, all right, I can't, because she don't know.
Sure, of course.
I come home, she's just like, she's just happy. She's just happy to see me.
She didn't come to Vegas.
She did.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Wow.
She came all the way out.
Damn. First
I'm like,
flight?
I'm sorry, honey. Not her first flight, no.
Really?
Yeah, we take
As
her all
a
over.
6-month-old?
Yeah, we've been to Florida with her because my partner has family in Florida. I've got family in Maryland still. So we've been to Maryland and Florida on the plane with her.
When did you meet your partner? How long ago?
About 4 years ago.
She's cool with you being a fighter?
Yeah, I kind of swindled her at first.
How so?
She was like, oh, I don't want anybody. When we had first started dating, I hadn't made my pro debut yet.
Okay.
And so she was like, you know, she was telling me how she had dated a DJ once. And, you know, this girl was all out in the public eye and people would come up to her and she couldn't walk down, you know. And I was like, she was like, so I don't want to date anybody that's going to be all like on TV. I was like, TV, girl, no, what? Me, get out of here. And we was like, I made my pro debut for Invicta, and it was on UFC Fight Pass. And she was like, this is an awful lot like TV. And
Yeah.
yeah, no way.
Internet.
Yeah. And then like years later, she's like, I cannot believe you talked me into this lifestyle.
Oh, that's unbelievable. Now you're on a reality
I got her
show
now.
and
Yeah, I'm on
everything.
hook now, yeah.
Where does the name come from?
Sijara?
Yeah.
My dad's godmother. But
Okay.
To be perfectly honest with you, I'm not 100% sure where or from. I've done all kinds of Googling and name book reading and figuring out, and everyone in our family has an African-based or Arabic-based name.
Okay.
But I'm the only one that doesn't know 100% where it comes from or what the meaning is. So there's some debate. My mom says it means quiet waters. You know, my dad and some of the other people in the family says it means tranquility.
Okay, sort of the same.
Yeah.
It's a great name.
Thank you.
So is your family from Africa or Arabic?
No, we're just classic Black Americans.
Okay.
But I guess the history, my grandfather on my dad's side and his mother, so both my grandparents changed all their names in the 70s when everything was like, Black Panthers and hippie, and my grandmother on my dad's side ended up converting to Islam.
Oh, wow.
In the 70s and 80s.
Okay.
And so my father was actually born Christopher, and his name got changed to Segun.
Wow.
And then my grandpa's name went from like, I can't remember his original name, but he's Musa now. And so then it sort of spiraled. We've got Damani and Jabran and Yasmin and Muntaha. We got all kinds of
Do you practice Islam?
No.
Okay.
No.
You're just
atheist?
No
way. I'd be.
Yeah.
I don't say atheist because I do believe in a higher being. I do believe in higher power, and I do believe that there's another force outside of us. And so I'm really spiritual, really faithful.
Okay.
I do think I use the word God, but I know it can be like a little overused.
Right.
But I think there is a more infinite power than ourselves, and I believe wholeheartedly in that. And that faith and that belief in a higher being is what got me through that house and through all the way up through my life and up until this point, and what's going to carry me forward. Absolutely.
Are your parents cool with you being a fighter? Are they content with this?
Yeah, they're content now.
They don't feel like you failed them or anything like that, or vice versa?
No,
they failed you?
No. No way. Yeah, for a long time, my parents still wanted me to go back to school because I dropped out of college.
Okay. Where'd you go?
I was going to Morgan State in Baltimore for a little while.
Okay.
So I was like, maybe one day I'll go back to online school and just get the paper just because I wasted a lot of money going to college and not finishing. But I don't have any desire to. My parents are so supportive and so full on to my career and what I'm doing, and they've been incredible.
Did they go out to Vegas?
My dad came out. My dad and his wife came out.
Was that the toughest part?
I think that was.
People,
yeah.
You got a lot of people there for you, right?
Yeah. And so, but at that point, I was in the hospital once I told everybody, so everyone was just trying to rush out to the hospital.
Oh, man.
And then I was trying to sign myself out. I was like, don't hurry. I'm trying to get out of here.
Yeah. Was that the toughest thing you've ever been through?
Yeah, absolutely.
And do you feel like you're getting back to normal now?
Oh, is it physically the toughest thing? Or physically?
Well, both.
Both, yeah.
Yeah.
Physically and mentally, yeah. It was definitely the toughest thing I've ever been to in my career. But I take pride in being a champion and being a martial artist, and nothing is, and to me, a knock this hard is nothing but a setup for something better. That's the only way to look at it. I could easily just be like, oh man, this sucks, and I'll just go to 35, or I'll just do something, but I'm a champion, and that's it. There's no other. I've always believed I was going to be a champion. I've always believed I was going to be a UFC champion. I thought it was going to be on Friday, but it's not. But I believe that when something hurts that bad, you have to regroup and come back and keep pursuing your goals. There's no stop. There's no quit. So it does hurt though. I ain't gonna lie to you. That joint hurt pretty bad.
Just look at your coach, Eddie Alvarez. He was champion, lost it in one of the worst ways possible, right?
Yeah.
Against Conor on the biggest stage. Look at him now. I'm sure you saw the fight on Saturday.
Yeah, it was incredible.
He's incredible, this guy.
Incredible fight. He looked good.
He's like he is the symbol of perseverance.
Yeah.
He just keeps coming back. And the fight, I was blown away by that performance on Saturday. That has to inspire you a little bit, right? To see him.
Absolutely. I trained in the same room as Eddie.
Right.
You got Frankie Edgar, S.M. Barbosa, Mike Henry.
What a team. Marlon Moraes.
Marlon, it's a stable of incredible guys. And I would be faking this whole time if I let this knock me. I just gotta, some miscalculations. I missed my cut, and I have to just get back on the horse. If anything, I'm ready to train tomorrow.
Yeah, well, take it easy. It's impressive the way you're handling it. It really is. Kudos to you on that. I'm sorry it didn't work out. But I appreciate you coming on and talking about it.
Man.
It's great to meet you.
Thank
Great to
you.
get to learn more about your journey. And I look forward to seeing you get the fight for that belt sooner rather than later.
Thank you. Next time we talk, hopefully that's what.
Well, I mean, that could be some time. I mean, hopefully not, but hopefully we can talk, before that as well. I wish you the best, really.
Thank you so much.
All the best to you and your family and your little daughter. Parenthood is the best.
It is.
I speak very highly of it. I have 3 children myself, so
Thank you. Nice.
Good luck, and we'll talk soon. And thank you again for coming in.
Thanks for having me. I love the show.